You're listening to the Empowering Process podcast with your host, Gail Kraft. Listen as she holds frank discussions around how your purpose, being present, and trusting your power impacts your life. Whether you're an entrepreneur, leader, or developing your vision, you'll find wisdom and insights you can utilize right now. Welcome your host, Gail Kraft.
We go. Hey, everybody, Gail Kraft here from the Empowering Process podcast. And I want to once again welcome a very special guest. And if I say your last name wrong, correct me. So it's Rich Trigger, and we're going to talk about the trigger for sure, Bontrager. Now,
Bontrager,
but Bontrager. Oh,
see,
like
Bontrager.
Okay.
Trigger is just the way we do it.
I love it. So you're Bontrager. Okay. So he is the CEO of Rock the Stage Media, and he's going to talk to us about dodging the bullet. Now, he has an incredible life story. And we're going to probably start at the beginning, but before we start, welcome, Rich.
Thanks for having me on, Gail. Again, it's an honor to be here, all kidding aside. Yeah, the name always gets butchered, even as a little kid. So I never had a problem with that. Some people are really hung up on their names. I'm not.
You know, last name Kraft, how can you mess that up? People do. So, it just is. It's not, it doesn't matter. We can have a whole episode on that shit doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But so you've been in radio, you have been on TV, you have done some pretty amazing things, but the most amazing thing is that you're alive to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Literally from the moment of my birth, my parents were told, your child will die. Literally, my parents were given, well, at then it was a childhood disease that many children that once they found they had it, they all died. 100% of them. I'm the first one they cited and caught. And here I am years later, still alive. But I was the first one they said, he's got it. He'll die. They watched me in the hospital for about a week. The doctor said, we need the bed space for new babies. Take your baby home. He'll die at home, which is really comforting for new parents, by the way. Really comforting.
Yeah.
My parents did not take pictures of me for the first 3 months of my life. Now, it was called CMV, but it's called cytomegalic inclusion disease. CMV is way easier, but at the time it was a death killer for babies. It was an immune system deficiency. Oh. And so I don't have any baby pictures from birth until 3 months. And then we found other things that I was all screwed up and messed with. So the story went on. But yeah, literally from birth, I was never supposed to be here.
So, and you haven't changed. You haven't aged a day. Look the same.
This is bald as when I came in the world.
I know. So it's interesting. We were talking about before the podcast recurring themes in our lives, and so this wasn't the only bullet that you dodged, and you have one that's most recent. But why not share a couple of the things that have happened and how they've affected your choices in your life?
Yeah, as a keynote speaker, I talk on defying the odds, overcoming obstacles and barriers, because we all face them at some point. Mine happened to be very physical and very personal. So bad eyesight, probably a side effect of the CMV. Deaf in my left ear, probably a side effect of CMV. So as a little kid, I couldn't see well, and I couldn't play Marco Polo well because I only had one ear. So I was a butt of everyone's jokes. I was bullied extensively. Add to that, my mother had a stutter, and why not give Rich the stutter too? So you have a kid that can't hear and can't see and can't speak, trying to make it through his early childhood. It was very painful to deal with all that, and to the point where, back in the day, you would stand up and read in school, even the See Dick Run, See Jane Run books. I could not do that. My nervousness, the stutter would kick off, and kids would tease me out loud in the classroom. I can remember leaving the classroom and running from the classroom, to where now, defy the odds, professional broadcaster for 30 years. I coach professional speakers how to speak, and I travel the world and do virtual hosting and TV shows all the time. And I rarely stutter anymore. It's still here, but I don't do it like I used to. So that's a big defy the odds hurdle that I've overcome.
Right. That and it's pretty amazing. When we have a choice. We have a choice to wallow in the cards that are handed us, or, I hate turning it into lemonade. That's so cliche, but really leveraging those experiences in our favor.
Well, and like when I grew up, I lived in Indiana where baseball and sports was big. I'm a big sports junkie, got into sports radio eventually. But I fell in love with Harry Carey and Cubs baseball. I would listen to him. I transited through radio. I said, I want to do that. And my parents are looking at me like, you stutter. It's never going to happen. And I stuttered really bad at the time. But that was one of those things of, I didn't see it as a stopper. I saw it as something to overcome. I saw it. I said, I'm going to learn how. Now I have no professional coaching on stuttering, never took a stutter class, anything. Other things happened in my life that supernaturally even elevated it and changed it. But that's where those childhood dreams, like you were just saying, don't see it as a negative. I saw it as a challenge.
Right.
So I'm going to rise up and face the challenge and go forward.
So, let's talk a little bit about the speech thing. So I'm a kid from the inner city of Boston. I had a very thick Dorchester accent. I didn't even know what an R was, right? It's AH, it's not an R. And if there isn't an R and there's an A or at the end, then we add an R. Like it's not Donna, it's Donner, right? And I found myself in a very prestigious position where I was dealing with high level executives as customers.
Yeah.
And I thought, now we're talking 18 guys. I didn't go to college until after I was a manager. But at 18, I'm on the phone with these high level executives, realizing that if I wanted to be taken seriously, I needed to do something about the accent.
Yeah.
Because it didn't matter if I was right or not. I sounded stupid.
The power of the voice.
Yes.
I coach it. I lead on it. There's an authoritative. There's a confidence that comes with learning how to use your voice. And I can totally relate to that stutter. I could not even ask a girl out. Growing up, the hardest thing for any stutter is introducing yourself. So I'd be in a room full of people, want to go ask a gal out, walking up and saying, hey, Gail, my name's Rich. Okay. It was like, hey, Gail, hi, my name's, and you're already checked out going, I don't know what he wants, but I don't want it.
Right. Or I don't know how to handle, especially as a teenager,
yes,
what's going on here, because I know a lot of it has to do with fear, even at that age, right?
It's fear, it's the emotional reaction. What if you say no? How, so it is that whole confidence thing. And I was told by a then girlfriend, as I tried to ask her out one day and the stutter was kicking in fine, she literally turned to me and said, I'm not going to answer you until you can tell me what you want. So she didn't play along. She wasn't going to play down to me. So I tried. And finally she said, relax. You already know I'm going to say yes. Just have fun with me. And literally it was like the weight drop off. I didn't have to perform. I could just relax and be confident she was going to say yes.
Right. Ooh,
that's a whole different thing. And that's what people need to learn is when you hit these things like this, you need to learn that other people already believe in you. They already are confident in you. You don't have to prove a thing.
There was a point in my life when I managed trainers in a big company. And I got thrown on stage, not prepared whatsoever, but I did well. But the point being is, at that point, I was taking a course in economics. And I was told, you go read a Wall Street Journal, get something out of it, do a presentation, yada, yada, yada. And I remember saying to one of the trainers, I read the damn article, I threw the presentation, threw papers out. I have no idea what I was talking about, but I just talked. And he said, you were the expert in the room. Doesn't matter if
that's
you...
what I coach now.
Yes. you're the expert in the room, right? And so
Yeah.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No,
Go
no.
ahead.
I was going to say, anytime you get invited into a room, anytime you get invited in, they already believe in you. You're already the expert in the room. I coach people. All you have to do is step up on stage and hit a home run. It's
Oh,
really that simple when you boil it down to they've already hired you. They probably already even paid you. You haven't said a word yet. You already own the room before doing a thing. Just go out and do it.
I'm doing that tomorrow, right? They called me. I didn't reach out and look for the gig, right? And it's a bunch of engineers, right? Leaders, and I'm talking about flow.
There you go.
Oh my God. Right. And I'm like, this is going to be so much fun. Right. It is because, like you said, I'm invited in. They want to hear what I have to say.
Right. Now, as a young speaker, I was in theater. I tried out for plays that would blow up in my face. I did not understand that theory. And most speakers do not. Most do not understand what you and I are just talking about. They're all like jacked up, worried. Oh man, I'm going to bomb this. I didn't prepare well enough. I didn't sleep well last night. Instead, it's a total paradigm shift that you already are appreciated and valued and you haven't done a thing. Step into that reality that they already like you and trust you. If I
I'm
would have
getting
known
emails.
that,
Can't wait to see you. Blah, 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 blah. Right.
exactly,
Right.
it would have changed so much at age 18 for me.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So I am a trained trainer. I do have certification, and I will share what I'm not supposed to share about what happened. Right. One of the things that they said was, bring your walk on stage music. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll bring my walk on stage music. And I brought the song Brave. We hand in our music and they cue it up as to, when you're going on stage. And they said, okay, so it's lunch break. You've got an hour. Oh, and to get changed. And by the way, you're singing your song. I sing like crap, honey. You could put a note in my hand and I can't hold it, right? Never mind the fact I really don't know, other than the chorus, the words to the song.
Right.
Right. So there's three of us sharing a room, right? And we're like YouTubing it, trying to learn our songs. I can't get a connection. Right. So I'm like, I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah.
I get queued up. They're putting the mic on me, and the woman who's ready to push me on stage says, "Are you ready?" I went, "Hell no." She says, "You'll be fine." I said, "I know." I made up the words. I rhymed the words, and I said something like, "I sing like crap and I don't care. I'm not listening. You're suffering out there." Blah, 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 blah. Right. And I'm dancing across the stage, and the trainers are literally hitting the stage laughing so hard. Right. So what are you going to do? So
you have to roll with it and you have to embrace some of the absurdity when it comes to this defying the odds, breaking through the barrier, succeeding. Some of it is absurdity and you just have to just crash through it.
What was going to happen?
No one was going to die. No one was going to get hurt.
No. And am I going to be embarrassed? Hell yes. Will I survive it? Absolutely.
But that's the other thing with part of my philosophy of defying these odds is I'm okay with the embarrassment because it's a teaching. So when I still present every so often, I do get tongue tied, the wrong word comes out. So what I do is I turn into a comedy moment, and I don't do comedy well, but I can laugh at myself, and I'll literally stop and go, "Take two, everybody." And there's no pressure in the audience of, "Oh my gosh, he blew it. Where are we going to go? He looks so nervous," and everything else. Instead, we all laugh and joke, and they embrace my stutter. I embrace the stutter, and I reset and I go on. Embracing it that way versus the way I did when I was younger.
Right.
Oh, clenched fists, sweaty palms, the whole thing. Everyone knew I'm boiling down on stage.
And you're spiraling.
Yes. And then instead of that, now I just roll with it, enjoy it. Everyone else enjoys it, and the show goes on. Those are mindset changes that help us, whatever you're defying the odds, whatever battle you're facing, it's a mindset switch first before anything else.
Right. And have fun with it. Will you survive it? Right. Will the world come to an end? I used to work in corporate. And when I would say things like, really, is that deadline absolutely necessary? Is that just a made up deadline because no way we're going to meet it? Right. We haven't even done an analysis as to the work it would take.
Yep.
So you're telling me you need this done by such and such a day. We don't even know who's on the team. We don't even know the talent. Right. So that's just made up. Now, here's a story, and then we'll get back to you. New job, and it's at a small company called GE. And I walked into this project. I walked out with my boss and I went, "Oh, I'm on this team." And she said, "Yes." I said, "It's going to fail." With all their Six Sigma tools, right? She said, "Why?" I said, "The wrong people are in the room. You don't have the right worker bees in the room. It's the people that make it happen, not your Six Sigma slides, right? Can I take this over?" And she said, "Absolutely." Right. So I took it over. There's a deadline. And I went to the VP, he was the chair, and I went, yeah, we're not going to meet this deadline. So I want to understand why it's so important. Well, he had a bonus writing on it being done by that. So I said, "So specifically, what does it say in your agreement to the bonus?" And it's like a live transaction. I said, "We can test a live transaction by that day." And we did. And then we didn't go live for 3 more months because it took that long to get it right. But we tested a live transaction that day. So taking a look at adversity in our life, understand what is so important. What is so
Well,
important?
and also we get set looking at the mountain. I don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm a risk taker. I'm a moving forward guy. I'm a visionary. I will find a door, a window, a crack, a cave, a hole. I will make a hole to get moving in the right direction. You'll still fill in the pieces and make it up as you go along. But I'd rather be moving forward instead of standing there at the wall forever saying, "We can't do it. We can't do it."
Right. Right. And it's because you've had to deal with that your entire life.
All of my life, though there have been so many doors that have been closed and shut. My college professor said, this is over 30 years ago now, "You have a great voice. No one will ever hire you. You can't do the news and you stutter." He was absolutely 100% right. Now, when I got in the sports play that I played and I ad-libbed and could do the flow of the game and got my passions going and was a storyteller, it unlocked a whole different area of broadcasting and interview skills. He laughs now. He goes, "I was right and I was wrong. You've done pretty well for 30 plus years."
Right.
That's the hole. That's the side end. That's the other door. Instead of, I didn't have to be a news anchorman. I didn't have to read a teleprompter. There's things that you can hit the wall and get focus on instead of doing that, change it and go around it. Go find another way to still pursue it. Now that we live in the virtual age and everyone's on camera, everyone's on stage. Look, I do this every day, all day long.
Right. Right. I just finished doing another podcast interview and, with a podcaster, and he's like, "You're an amazing interviewer." And I said, "It's just a conversation."
Right. That's all it is.
It's just a conversation. Right. So, so you teach people, you work with people to hone their skills.
Yep.
And what's one of the biggest barriers, the biggest fear that people face?
Well, number one, it's the dumb light in front of them. The number one fear in all the world has always been public speaking. We've added a light to it now where you're on camera. There's the red light. That means you're not on yet. And the green light. I have sat with people, coached with people, worked with them, and backstage, they're just like this. We're flowing back and forth, having a great time. The minute that light goes green, it's like, "Hi, Gail. I'm so happy to be here with you." And it's the most awkward shift in the universe from you were fine a minute ago, and the only thing different is that green light.
Right.
Stage fright manifests in many ways right now. The fear of the camera is the number one thing beyond even fear of speaking now.
Wow.
And coaching through that has become, I mean, CEOs, executives, they all want media. They all want podcasts. They're trying to elevate their brand, which I work on. You cannot elevate your brand if you're not comfortable with the camera. I don't even think about the camera.
Exactly. But I will tell you, thanks for the great release, or whatever you want to call that word that we can't say anymore. They'll block us on social media. I started doing Facebook Lives, and that's how I started. And I will tell you, they were awful. They were horrific. And I would get things like, Gail, I really love your message. Can you do something with your hair? Gail, that was awesome today. Your lighting. Let me tell you what you need to buy.
That's Gail, what I do.
Your background is horrific, right?
So the messages of most people are great. The branding, the packaging, the presentation, we all think like TV. We all think like movies now.
Right.
I coach and bring my media stuff, my speaking stuff, and then I bring the brand identity, and I put that all together and help people actually elevate their brand voice and authority by showing up here like a rock star. Because like you said, they like the content, but they don't want to have your face to disappear because the Zoom or the camera squished your head. They don't want that.
What?
Right.
What?
I work hard to make this look good, folks. So, that's where the magic is. That, again, I've got all these years of expertise. I was told I was never going to be here. I would never be able to speak in public and help. But here I am. And I'm loving being able to do it because I never took a straight line. Everything to me was an obstacle and overcome. I never took a straight line. So when COVID hit, let's go recreate and let's go do it all over again.
And so never taking a straight line. There is no straight line. And that's where folks who are rigid in their thinking have a problem. And change is exponential now. Every year it comes faster and faster and faster. And our little brain is not keeping up with it if we're going to be rigid and not flexible. And go ahead.
It's not just change. It's, again, the volume of change thrown at us. Well, let's go back several years ago, okay? I'm going to take you back in time.
Okay.
5 years ago, I got a liver transplant. 3 years before that, I found out I had liver failure. So we're talking 8 years ago. I had a liver that was 75% dead, never coming back. My wife at the time and I were told, he's dead. His body just hasn't told him he's dead. That was 8 years ago. Took a 3-year slide. I look like a raccoon, an ugly raccoon. I'm near death. I get the transplant. I'm divorced. Transplant. Lying in a hospital bed in Jacksonville, Florida. No job. Nothing except for me and what I'm going to get up literally out of bed and start recreating. Then my first goal was to get back in the broadcast booth. So you set many goals when you have these obstacles.
Right.
So 4 months after my transplant, I'm in the broadcast booth doing a high school football game just so I could say I'm back in the booth. My partner at the time looked at me like, you're a nut. But it took me a year and a half to recover from that. Here we are now, 5 years later. Multiple shows, multiple interviews, coaching and presenting, traveling the world again. The only way I got here was by saying, I am going to recreate through COVID,
right?
Through financial hardships,
right?
Through technology changing that's still going fast, and dealing with medical stuff that I still have to deal with. I just kept saying, I'm going to overcome. I'm just going to keep moving the balls and the thing. We're getting hit so hard all the time right now. People are giving up so fast. They're not in it for the long haul, Gail.
Right.
When I recreated the new version of Rock the Stage Media, I was engaged to be married. That was partway through post-transplant and everything else. I was engaged. And I told my fiance at the time, I said, this will take at least 3 years to get it to where I want it to get to. Until then, this is a dream, energy, and I'm going to do it every day. Like you said,
right?
Slides every day, everything. I didn't start with a small goal. I started with a big goal, but I knew I had to invest in getting there. Right. And that's what overcoming in our world is today. Most people do not know how to stay the long game.
I was going to say they don't play the long game. So So I'm a coach, you're a coach. Coaching is a long game.
Yes.
I have people who've gotten in touch with me and have said, I've been following you for 7 years. I'm now ready.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So, it's about overcoming the fear of the conversations that they're going to be having with me. Right. And I totally get it. I know that. I just recently finished working with a mastermind group of all coaches, and most of them did not have the patience for the long game. Now, one or two of them really pushed hard and have excelled, right? They're the exception, honey. Out of 300 of you in this room, they're not the norm. Accept the long game and plan and just keep working it.
So the problem with the new mindset pandemic was, well, it's going to be a 4-month shutdown. Don't worry, we'll be back to work. It was 8 months. Oh, then it's going to be a year. Well, then they started saying, well, this is going to take a year to recover from our year shutdown. The line kept getting moved. So no one could say there was a long game, short game. They didn't know what game they were playing. That's part of the new world. We're always getting hit. Then we have the gas prices, and we have the war in Ukraine affecting us. We have political unrest. It's just like we're getting hit every day. And people are like, I have to deal with this every day pounding. I can't even figure out what the long game is.
And just deal with today. And that's exactly what I do. I just deal with, there's an insurance term called care, custody, and control. What do I have care, custody, and control over right now?
Right now. And that makes it so easy again. That's why it's so much easier to deal with the present, to overcome and defy the odds, than to deal with it and see it's beyond reach because another thing's going to smack you tomorrow.
Right. And that goal might have to change. Right. It might have to
modify.
Right. Because the world is changing. And so the goal is for you to be able to go with the flow. It's like that project I was telling you about. Why is this end date so important to you? Okay, well, what if we modified that? Let's see the terms. Oh, we can absolutely do that, but we won't be done with the project until this day. Oh, okay. As long as I get my bonus, you'll get your bonus because this is what it's contingent on. Right.
Well, that's why the goal is still the same.
Right.
My goal is to be one of the top 10 media presentation coaches in the world. That's it. I want to be one of the top 10 people helping people get elevated, be seen, be heard, elevate their brand. Boom. And how I get there has already changed multiple times. The target's still right in front of me.
Right.
But now it's go around here, do this, go back, come forward. But the target's still in front of me. It's a total different way of playing the game now. It isn't just straight lines. It's not even, let's have a 6-month org chart. Come on. We can't do a 1-week org chart. So you have to learn to do this in bites and chunks and be flexibility. And it's a new way that I don't even think the business world understands yet. Most companies don't know how to trickle down to their employees. It's a new learning curve of, it really is. Take it one day at a time and take a deep breath.
So here's my prediction for business. There will no longer be permanent employees. There will be, what do we need? Call the contractors in.
Yes.
And because people don't want to be sitting at a desk anymore. I can remember, and so I've been contracting for over a decade, for more than a decade. And I was doing a contract, and my contracts, if I'm doing a project management contract, which I try not to do anymore, you can have me for 2 days. Because if you're bringing me on for a project, you don't need me for 40 hours a week. Come on. I don't do the work. I orchestrate the work.
Right.
And I report to you. That's it. Right. And so this particular project, my goal was to help the project program manager create the structure that she could function under, right, with the testing scenarios and the right people there to make it happen. So we get that, we're done, and I'm sitting there on this day 2 of this particular week, I'm going, I'm done. Right. So I went into her before I needed to be, her office. I said, is there anything else that you need me to do? And she's like, well, you can go work with so and so and see if they need help. I was like, oh, no, I'm not an employee whose time you need to fill up. I'm done. So I will transition. I'll create a transition plan for anything that I might own, and I'll be out in 2 weeks. That's 4 days because I'm only there for 2 days. Right.
Right.
Right. That's all you need. You don't have to make up work. And that's what businesses do. They make up work because they're paying a salary.
Again, the whole structure of everything we're talking about is the world's changed. But you have to keep figuring out how to move the ball along.
Right.
Whether it's emotional issues, physical, financial obstacles, whatever you're facing now, the whole structure of this you have to learn how to defy the odds. You have to learn how to overcome,
Right.
or you're going to get stuck. And the world's going to keep moving without you. So you have to learn how to defy the odds. And it's not always fun.
Mm-mm.
But believe me, I'd much rather defy the odds and have people looking over my shoulder going, how did you do that, Trigger? 6 months ago, that was not even possible. How did you do that 6 months later? It's because you take it one day at a time.
Right.
Looking back at my early childhood, my stutter was crippling. Looking back at my stutter now, it's a catapult to talk to people, to elevate, to get me in the door, to coach more people because I overcame something.
Right.
And now I can help them because they know I'm the guy that knows it.
You're the guy that literally lived it. And it's not just your stutter. You defied death from birth. You just 5 years ago defied death again. Right. It's a repeating pattern. Let's stop. You can tell the universe you're done with that repeating pattern. Right. Thank you very much. I've got the lessons. Please. I'm done.
I've got the t-shirt.
Right. There you go. Right. And so the problems that people think they're facing are not really problems. Right.
A lot of it's mindset.
Yeah.
And I use my humor all the way through all this.
Yeah.
I use my humor extensively to lighten the load, to get refreshed, to take a pause and move forward.
Right. Right. Now, it's not saying bad things aren't happening. Liver transplant's pretty serious, right? Pretty serious. But how do you navigate through it? Right. And not alone. I don't go alone, and I am an amazing coach, right? I don't go alone. I tap into my resources, right? Say, okay, guys, this is happening. I know. Let's talk about this. Let's figure this out, right? We are not solo creatures. We are social creatures.
Well, we're made for community.
We're made for community.
And it's important to have that other resource. I mean, so when I was going through much of what I was going through, my cell phone and I were walking around the street, getting some exercise. But I'm calling friends when I'm in Georgia, in Minnesota, in Iowa, in Tennessee. I'm calling friends around the country so I can stay in community, even though I'm dying.
Right? Right?
But that's what you need to do. And again, as a business leader, as an entrepreneur, as someone who's facing struggles, instead of holding it in and keeping it to yourself, you need to be more open about it and put it out there.
You need to be out there.
Transparent.
You need to be transparent. And the biggest thing is don't be afraid and don't be ashamed. We've all, again, I hate these platitudes. I hate platitudes, but we've all been there. Right? Or if I haven't been there, I know someone who has, and I'll hook you up.
Well, and again, that's where we've been there. And I've got a philosophy of don't waste the pain. Again, childhood, stutter, eyesight. We didn't even touch on being a burn victim at age 10. And then the liver transplant. I have never hid or wasted the pain because I believe I can be of service and help to somebody else. Often we recoil, we hide, and we go the other way because, oh, I'm an awkward duck. I'm ugly. It's not working well. I'm embarrassed. I went bankrupt, whatever it was. Instead of saying, I have something to share. that may help somebody else.
Right?
That's part of that liberating, moving forward, living in the present than hanging out in the past.
Absolutely. So, Rich, if someone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Easiest way is rich@richbontrager.net. You can find me on LinkedIn as well, or rockthestagemedia.com.
Okay, fantastic. And all of that stuff will be in the show notes for sure. And everybody, this is Gail Craft from the Empowering Process podcast. If this really interests you, by all means, let us know, like it, and subscribe. If you know someone who could benefit from this, share it out. We would love, love, love for you to share it out. And if a question came up, absolutely let us know. And maybe Rich and I will get back together and answer your question. Thank you so much, Rich. This was awesome.
Thanks, Gail, for having me on.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. Be sure to visit Gail at gailcraft.com to learn more about how she serves thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and goal seekers. And remember, if you like this broadcast, be sure to share and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.